Hola mi gente, ¿cómo van? Here we are at AZ Motorsports in Medellin because we're about to go and do the dyno. So as you know, with my bike, I've never done a dyno on it, I've never tuned it, and I put on slip-ons. Some people would say you don't need a tune for slip-ons. However, because the bikes here are EU5 bikes, that means that we've got extra O2 sensors on the bike, which also means you've got an O2 sensor on the muffler, which is really annoying. So if you want to put slip-ons on, you have to take off the O2 sensor, and then that causes all kind of problems with the system. And what that does is it creates a check light, a fault light for the engine that's constantly on the dashboard, which is not good, because if you go to sell the bike, no one's going to buy it with that light on. And also if something goes wrong with the engine, you're not going to know, right? So we're here at the dyno to get the engine light taken off, to put the bike back to normal, and to improve the performance of the bike. All right, so we're here with Alejo. He is the owner of the business. Alejo, how long you been here? And tell us a little bit about the business, man.
Okay, we've been here, not in this particular space, but doing this like 10 years now in Medellin. And that's the only thing we do. That's the only thing we do. I tune, and my partner here is the motorcycle mechanic.
Yep.
But for my side, I only tune bikes. The good thing is that we do our own maps. We don't buy maps and we don't copy and paste, stuff like that.
Can we take a look?
Yeah, we do our own maps for every bike that we do.
Yep.
So we actually read the original map of the bike, and we kept that for backup, just in case, like I told you, if you want to sell the bike and the new owner wants to stock, we put it back stock, however he wants it. So we always read on any bike, Japanese, European, Harleys, any bike, we read the original map, and we modify the original map. Okay?
Awesome. Yeah. You don't just download them off the internet?
Nah, everything's custom made for the particular bike. Like you saw on this bike, I started with a base map that I did on the same bike with a different exhaust though, and it was a little rich after 3K. So I had to, modify the map for this particular bike.
Well, thanks a lot, man. We're gonna now go ahead and map this bike, and then I'm gonna take it out afterwards to see how she rides, see what the difference is, see what the improvements are. Let's go ahead and let's start the map.
Okay, we got my buddy came in with his Lowrider 2023 model, 1923cc engine, and he has done some mods to the engine, like exhaust and air filter. So obviously the stock configuration from the airflow is going to change, and is going to affect on some parts of the bike. As you can see here, normally when I do my tunes, I do 100% throttle and partial throttle, okay? Because we're not where we only for 100%, 100%, you only 5% of your time you're gonna be there. Most of the time is partial throttle, so that's where we focus more. So here we got blue line is partial throttle, we got 85 horsepower to the wheel, and red line, we got full horsepower, full throttle, 91.9 horsepower to the wheel. As you can see on the air fuel ratio here, from 1500 to 4500, we got a lean spot. The bike has turned lean. Maybe why? Because of the exhaust and the air filter that he has put in. Okay, so now we got more air pushing through the bike and less fuel. Plus, after 4500 is okay. The bike is not bad. It's right at where we like it. So what we're gonna do is custom map for this bike right now, also to remove lambda error sensors. And we're gonna optimize this fuel system on this area right here, so the bike will have better throttle response, less heat in the cylinders and everything. Okay, right now we're loading the map that already custom for this bike. Before, on every bike, I usually read, the stock map from the bike and save it as database. This is just in case for backup, just in case you need to sell the bike and the new owner don't want the bike retune or whatever.
Or to put it back to original.
Yeah, every time I save the original. I'll get the OEM map that I read and make what we call a OLS, and based on that OLS, just start modifying the map. Once I load it and run it, I can tell if it work okay, if not, I start modifying the base mat for this bike.
All right, so we're just talking about how hot the oil gets with this bike. Now, bearing in mind, we are in Colombia and we're in Medellin. Medellin is not super hot, but I recently took the bike to the coast and it consumed a lot of oil. And I was just asking Alejo if that affects, if it's because I didn't do the DynoJet after I put the slip-on mufflers on. So, but what we're talking about is, does that affect it, or is it just because the bike gets too hot? And also, is it because it's an oil-cooled bike or an air-cooled bike? So he's gonna give us some information on that.
The oil consumption can be related to a lot of stuff, especially, let's say, one of the things that this bike is not water-cooled, so it's only oil-cooled, so the oil temperature is gonna get more higher than a regular, water-cooled bike. So, especially in the coast where he just went. Also, this spot right here, where most of the time the bike is gonna be in partial throttle, which is 1500 to around 3500, is very lean with the modifications that he's done. So when the bike is lean, the cylinders tend to go higher in temperature. So if the cylinders go high in temperature, the oil is gonna go more high in temperature. So that will cause the oil to evaporate, It's not that the engine is bad or consuming nothing, it's just how it is.
And in traffic as well, right?
In traffic more, yeah. So what we're doing now is, once we fix the air-fuel ratio to where we want it on partial throttle and full throttle, he's gonna feel the difference that he's gonna feel is that the engine heat is gonna be way lower, just because the fuel, helps the engine to cool down. So if the heads are cooler, if the cylinders are cooler, so the oil is gonna tend to go cooler, So better, the oil consumption is gonna be reduced, okay? So once we get done, you're gonna notice that here. I'm gonna show you how the air-fuel ratio is going to be, and we go from there. Okay, we have finished with this Lowrider 2023, and here's the result. So like I told you before, this is 100% throttle. So this is full throttle, okay, full throttle. So blue line stock here, blue line AFR stock, lean, and red line where we want it, okay? After that, and some other mods on the file, we got 5 horsepower of gain. Plus, we removed the speed limiter on there. If you can see, the torque line is more smooth, linear than how she comes stock.
So the red line is afterwards, the blue line is before.
Yes, and this is torque and this is horsepower. We go to 50% throttle. This is partial throttle. This is where you're gonna be most of the time, okay? So here's the same situation. Lean AFR stock. Now air-fuel ratio, we go where we want it, around the 13 zone. And here's the result, from 85 to 90, almost 92 horsepower. Okay, here's red line, how she is, speed limit removed, and then red line torque, and red line. Look at the torque line. See how she's more linear than how she is stock? Like all these bumps is because of this lean spot. Okay, so on the lean spot, even on the horsepower 9, you can see a little bit, dips and holes and everything throughout the line. So now it's much smoother. When you fix the air-fuel ratio, you get a more stable engine. You're not gonna feel like you can go 10% throttle on the highway and let it go, by itself all the way to the red line, and you're gonna feel the engine not jerky, like just one whole sound. All right.
So it's gonna be smoother performance overall.
Yep. Plus the check engine's gone.
Check light's gone. Yep.
And you're ready to roll. Okay guys, now Matt's gonna go for a test ride after the dynotune, and shortly when he comes back, he will tell us what he feels the bike like. Okay, so pay attention. We'll be back shortly. Okay, so as you saw, Matt just went for a little test drive. Of course, here in the city, he can only like test like throttle response on low ends because there's no way to do a full throttle here. So let's ask Matt what he felt about the dyno tuning, the felt of the bike.
Yeah, so for me, right away, I could feel that it was smoother. It just feels really buttery, best way to describe it. Before, after having put the slip-ons on, it was really jerky. Like, you know, you touch the throttle and it's like, whoa, 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 you have to be really careful. Right now, you just pull the throttle and it's just smooth. It just goes, it feels like how the bike should be. Like, that's the best way to describe it. This is how it was made to feel. It was supposed to feel like this. Now, a lot of people don't know what a dyno does, and they don't even know about DynoJet. So I think it's important for us to get a little quick rundown of what we did to the bike, how it improved, and just a little quick description of what DynoJet is, because a lot of people don't know.
All right, Matt, well, DynoJet is just the brand, okay? Even the dynamometer is just a tool. I mean, the dyno is not gonna do nothing by itself. The dyno is just the tool that's gonna tell us what we've been doing to the ECU. If we're doing good, if we're doing bad, if it's improving, if it's not. So it's just a tool, a reference for us, the tuners, okay? It's a good tool because the best way to tell if the engine has a good air-fuel ratio is with a dyno. Or unless if you put a wideband on the bike, you have to take it, you know, on the street and be, I mean, it's more dangerous than being on the dyno. So what we do there is just measure what air-fuel ratio, horsepower, and torque is on the bike, and then we start modifying the map according to all the stuff that you have done to the bike. Like if you have mod the engine, exhaust, air filter, etc., the fuel that you use, you know, what we use here in our city. So all that, if we set all the engine to the good air-fuel ratio, that's related to what you just felt on the road. I mean, the engine's more, it's gonna be more stable. How can I explain this? If you throttle 20% of throttle from 1,000 RPM, and the engine has the exact same AFR from 1,000 to 6,000, so the engine is going to have only one sound. That's why before you had a jerky bike, because you start on 1, the air-fuel ratio was in 16, real lean, you start jerking, go back down to 30, back down. It wasn't really jumpy. That's where the jerky come from, you know. So now that AFR is stable all over the TPS area and RPM area, now the engine is going to be more smoother. One way to tell is like when you get on the highway, just throttle to what, 30% from 1K and let it go up to the rate limiter by itself, but hold it steady on that percentage, and you're going to feel the bike only one sound. You're never going to hear the engine like blah, 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 blah. You're just going to feel like woo. So that's the best way to describe when the air-fuel ratio is correct on the bike. Some people come here, I want a dyno to my bike, but I want more economy. You want more economy, leave it as it is. She is economy, okay?
Yep. And does that mean we're putting more fuel into the bike? Does that mean that the engine overall is going to be healthier?
Yes.
So it's going to help the engine adding more fuel?
More fuel, less heat, okay? Up to one point, you know, it's not going to be a lot of fuel. You know, when I say more fuel is wherever we put our fuel, you know, our engines. So the engine is going to be more smooth. As far as temperature is going to go down. And what we talk about the oil temp is going to go down, okay?
All right, man, thanks a lot. Well, I hope that helped you guys to know what the DynoJet is, what it does, and why you should get it done for your bike if you've made any modifications. Super, super important. I can tell you, just from going out on it on a little circuit of the block, it feels way smoother and way nicer. And I will give you guys an update in a few weeks as to how the bike is feeling. So thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate having you guys here. As always, drop a comment, drop a like if this was any value to you, and we'll see you on the next one.